my turn. Yay. Do you hear how enthusiastic I am?
Yeah, I know. You're
Woo.
so lucky.
Oh, the atmosphere. I guess nobody remembers that commercial.
I don't think I do.
What?
Said I don't think I do remember that.
The Discovery Channel commercials with, like, the Mexican-looking dudes. They had them dressed up as mosquitoes or asteroids. And they were supposed to be, like, asteroids falling down to Earth, giving, like, scientific facts.
Nope.
But they were, like, not really good at their job. And so they just kind of became famous because they were really shit at acting. So that's what I was quoting, was the atmosphere thing.
I will take your word for it.
Okay, the other one, of course, was, hello, mosquito. Hello, mosquito. And then they were giving facts about mosquitoes.
Wow.
I grabbed my dress, because, again, you were already wearing it, so I don't know why you would grab it, I guess, except maybe to cover your boobs, and got dressed, even though I was already dressed, as fast as I could. Samson did the same. He grabbed his dress and got dressed.
Why not?
We ran down the hill and through the town. Vikings were running around and shouting, "Get more water! Put out the flames!" What? Wow, she's actually using quotation marks for this. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
Is anyone still alive? Tears ran down as... Okay, I'm like, okay, tear...
Oh, dear.
I saw the horror. That was my father's ship, a mangled, twisted wreckage. Flames licked the sails and bow. I shuddered, no, as I covered my mouth and gasped. How was the ship even still floating? That's a good question. I think I mentioned that earlier. That did not matter, though. All I was concerned about was fiending my father.
Fiending your father.
I was gonna say, all this is actually a little more competently written than it has been so far, and I'm like, nope, we're done now. Fiending my father at the water's edge, and then I immediately go to Mary 7-3, down at the yeah, I don't have the tune for that, so I'm not even gonna try. Water's edge now, Samson and I could see men jumping off the wrecked ship. Did it just, like, suddenly catch fire now as it came, like, sabotage or something? I don't know why they would wait when they're there near the village again, at the port. Why wouldn't they, like, sink it out at sea or something? I mean, I'm assuming maybe it's sabotage, because it seems strange that it would catch fire now. But maybe I'm thinking more into this than I really should be.
Yeah, I don't really know. I sort of assumed that it was sailing into the harbor on fire.
Jumping off the wrecked ship, swimming to shore. With no warning, there was a loud crack, and the ship broke in half and started to go under.
Wow.
I felt so helpless. Helpless, an I and not an E, just standing there worried about my father. I recognized, not how you spell that.
Recognized.
Recognized, sucker. One of the men who had just reached the shore. He was my father's first mate and closest friend. I ran over to where he was, still crying my eyes out. My father, is he all right? Where's my father? I cried out, with no punctuation or anything, so forget any praise I had a minute ago that I was trying to say about the story's writing. Gasping for breath, my father's friend just had a grim look on his face. What happened? I screamed again. We were, he probably is really exhausted and might have even had smoke inhalation. I mean, he might not be able to reply, but I understand that she's kind of hysterical because, where's your dad? His ship is on fucking fire.
Uh-huh.
We were on our way back. Oh, so he is able to answer. Okay. We were on our way back when we spotted an island that wasn't on the charts and seemed to be moving towards us. Okay. We set sail towards it to check it out. When we got cooler, we could see riches beyond anything we had ever seen in our lives. So it's Treasure Island. Except it moves, I guess. We all ran ashore, shouting out what we were going to do with our share. Blinded by all the gold and treasure, we didn't realize we were being watched. Okay? See, I'm kind of interested in this, but I know it's not going to really go anywhere. It's like the Griffins. I was so into that, but we did nothing with them. And I was just so pissed about that because I was so into that. I'm like, this sounds awesome! And then nothing happened. It was just a thing we did, and now it's done.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, we were under attack. Hundreds, no, thousands of warriors, so Amazons, apparently, swamped us in seconds. How would you miss all these guys if there's an island full of treasure that can move towards you? Like, wouldn't you see, like, their ships or something? I mean, it depends really on how big this island was. You haven't really said. Your father was cutting the down 2 at a time. I had never seen a braver man. He held them off so that the remaining Vikings could... They wouldn't call themselves Vikings exactly. They would call the other warriors or the other men or the other sailors or something. Could retreat to the ship, but the strange demon, like soldiers, were on the boat as well. How did they get onto your boat? Did they climb ashore? Climb from other boats onto your ship like pirates would? Were they on the island and they went up the boards you would put from the ship to the ground so people could descend and all that? I mean, okay, whatever. Most of us died fending them off the ship. Your father stayed behind to hold them off so that we could get out. The last thing I saw of that horror island was your father slaying demons. Or demons.
Yeah, demons. Wow.
Well, if they see Amazons, they might think they're demons. I mean, if you're thinking about, like, the Amazon from Dragon's Crown, I wouldn't want to fuck with her. She looks like she ripped a whole bunch of people's heads off.
Yeah. My whole body was pale, again like a garbage pail, and shacking tears streaming down my face. My knees went weak, but Samson wrapped my arms around... Samson wrapped my arms around me, held me tight. The comfort of his warm embrace soothed my soul, the soul of her feet, and warmed my heart. He just held me there as the hoe...
The hoe village!
As the whole village was running around in a mad panic to figure out what had happened. Then all went silent, and my body felt light as a feather. My eyes changed from their usual golden color, one fiery red and the other ash gray.
Why?
The actual hell. I could feel my whole body being filled with power as if I were a golden cup and the gods themselves were pouring...
No, gods themselves.
Themselves were pouring pure nerg. It's NRG because she's fucking lazy. Into my very soul.
Your feet, I see.
My eyes darted open as there was a deafening roar.
Rowie.
Everyone froze. Not a sound could be heard but the faint echo of what we had all just heard. My gaze went toward Samson, whose hair had gone straight and gone black as the darkest night.
Why?
His eyes were also blue and gray. What was going on? Good fucking question. But I had no time to think. We turned to see a great king dragon diving toward the harbor.
How would you know?
what was a king black dragon ding this far north?
Wait, so it's not just a king dragon, but now it's suddenly a black king dragon.
Yeah. That's racist. What is a black dragon ding this far north? Jeez.
Trying to get away from slavers?
I could see the scared... Yeah, well, she spelled it right, and I assume she wasn't. The scared Viking rushing to the catapults to try to fend off the king dragon.
As the dragon was into the water.
As the dragon was nearly on top of us now, my whole body was raped into the air. Wow.
Apparently she's getting frisky with the Dragon King.
I don't think that's what she meant to say, but I don't know what else it could be. Oh, wrapped. She meant to say my whole body was wrapped into the air. Good freaking jorb.
That still wouldn't make sense, though. How would you wrap
it doesn't, but whole body was raped into the air. Damn, girl.
Those damn reaping trees. I knew visiting the Evil Dead universe was a bad idea.
Wow. Flying towards the flying great dragon, I opened my mouth to scream, but as I did this, a great ball of golden fire bellowed out of my mouth into the smoldering sky. What the fuck?
Okay, if you open your mouth, you're not suddenly going to blow out flames from your mouth. You would have to have major heartburn and feel like something is coming up from you before you actually spewed anything out. That includes fire.
Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna go into dragon physiology right now too much.
Yeah, I mean, you can find this out online, really. The science behind dragons. Yeah. And why dragons, they could exist.
And I figured this out well before I saw anyone else talk about it. Dragons don't breathe fire, 'cause, fire's not a thing. It's not like an element or anything. It's a chemical reaction. So dragons don't breathe fire, they breathe a chemical that bursts into flame upon contact with the air.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise they would kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go by Flight of Dragons, I'm talking about the cartoon movie, not the actual book, because that was a different book that actually talked about the science of things.
Right.
Theoretically, a dragon could produce a gas inside its body similar to helium, which is how it could float, but also, or is that hydrogen? Whichever the one is flammable upon, being set fire. But it also allows the dragon to float, which is why it could fly. And it could just use its wings to steer, basically. And then when it would, need to land, it would expel that gas, from its throat, from its insides. And it could, set it on fire, if it so chose, to help with landing.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly dependent on the species of dragon, because that's an incredibly diverse thing. But the thing most people will agree upon with fire-breathing dragons is that it's a chemical that ignites. If you're actually breathing fire through your throat, you're going to scorch the hell out of your throat.
Yeah.
Especially in this situation if you're a human. Like a dragon, who knows, maybe they actually have more of a coating.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe they have a tough mucus lining or something. I mean, you could get into that if you really wanted to about your dragons, how that actually scientifically would work.
Right. And I went way more into this than I had intended to.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm the one who started it, so.
Yeah, it's fine because, the thing is it's dangerous because I'll talk about dragons forever. So I have to reel myself in. But the point of it is that she would have just wrecked herself.
Yeah.
Because she had never done that before, and as a human, yeah, she would have, wrecked all sorts of things going on with her throat. Possibly her esophagus, vocal cords, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway. Samson took my hand in his,
Because
and in
he's
my
doing all this shit too, apparently.
I guess, they're both going Super Saiyan. And in my mind, like ESP, I heard me?
Me.
What?
Meh.
Meh.
That's our feelings for the story.
He said to close my eyes and concentrate on ethnobotany. I don't think that means what you think it means.
I wouldn't know what that means. Like I said earlier, I was glancing through the story and I read that as ebonybotany or something like that. Like I was relating it to like My Immortal.
Yeah, it's ethnobotany. Now, if you break down what those words mean, that's ethno, as in of or pertaining to ethnicity, and botany, which is study of plants, which has nothing to do with this magical shenanigans going on.
So wait,
Unless they start spreading plant tentacles.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I think we're going for maybe Dragonkin.
Yeah, and can we just say that, as the dragon here, I'd just like to say that it really is okay if you just say dragon.
Yeah.
Just like we're people too. I mean, we're cool and all, but just don't try to make up words.
Yeah.
Because when you break down what those words mean, it has nothing to do with what's going on. Anyway, I had no idea what he meant. Yeah, neither do we. So that makes 3 of us. But I trusted him with my life for some reason. So I did as he said and thought of ethnobotany.
What the fuck is that? How would you actually know what this is? It just came up now.
That would be like, I don't know, that would be asking one of those 16th century people to think about silicon-based computer chips. They wouldn't have the necessary knowledge to draw upon to think about it.
Or asking somebody when you use the and when you use the. Because there is a key difference, even if you don't pay attention to it.
Samson drew his once slender blade, but it had changed. It was now pure gold and longer than 8 feet long. That is one unwieldy ass blade.
So it's Sephiroth.
I was gonna say, I don't even think Sephiroth's Masamune was that long.
I'm not sure, but that actually is a pretty fucking long sword, and Sephiroth is 6 feet tall. He's like 6'4",
yeah,
I think.
He's supposed to be a really tall dude.
And that sword is like, it could be illusion based as well. I've only really fought him in Kingdom Hearts, so I'm kind of thinking about how big it was in that.
Yeah, and supposedly he's the only one strong enough to wield it, so
yeah.
That gives you an idea. A sword like that would not actually be wieldable for all intents.
Well, neither would like a cloud sword or a gunblade or anything really like that.
Even the Buster Sword and the Gunblade could, theoretically be balanced for what they are.
Yeah.
The problem with the Masamune, Sephiroth's Masamune, is that it's so fucking long that it would be almost impossible to balance.
Unless the hilt is very heavy, but even then...
The hilt would have to be incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
Counterbalance the innate blade heaviness of that.
Now, I did have the good fortune to encounter somebody who made real replicas of the Final Fantasy swords from Final Fantasy VII, but those things were fucking heavy. I couldn't even lift the Buster Sword, and I didn't even touch the Masamune for very long, because like as soon as I tried to pick that thing up, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Put it back down, because I'm like, there is no way.
I would actually, I would love to actually try that. Because I can actually pick up relatively heavy swords. I mean, anything that's in the realm of feasibility.
Yeah.
I have, basically as a party trick, I can one-hand wield claymores. That's just fun to do, Like, I wouldn't actually try to fight that way, but it is fun to watch people's reactions.
Well, I just wanted to, because I didn't know if they were, like, made out of real metal or not, like, made a legit sword, until I picked them up, and I'm like, wow, they personally made this, like, as if it was a real legit thing. I'm like, it's totally impractical.
Right.
And I don't know, like, anybody, even if they lifted weights, if they could, like, lift this and use it, but it's cool.
Right, exactly. Alright, so, anyway, his blade is pure gold and longer than 8 feet long. Why can't you just give a measurement?
That your measurement is 8 feet long. Ish.
Just say what it is, 8.5 feet, or something like that. The hilt silver and increased with green gems, like Gem in the holograms.
Gem is my name. Okay.
I'll actually sing that song if you're not careful.
You can go ahead if you want.
Oh man, I'm gonna spare our audience.
Okay, I was gonna say I can make it a talk time. This show would probably love it. I've never actually watched that show technically. I watched maybe like an episode and I was like, wow, the art is really cool. The story is dumb.
It is, but for the 80s especially, that was as good as programming for girls got.
Yeah, I did, like, sometime last year, watch the first 6 episodes of Rainbow Bright. That was actually really good. If they didn't have to, like, force in the kiddie bits in certain parts, to remind you that this is supposed to be a show for little girls. That would have been, like, amazing. That was like Gargoyles, kind of.
Huh. Interesting.
So I recommend, just as a thing to do if you have free time, like maybe rewatch some stuff that you used to like as a kid, see if you still like it, or even just to see if maybe it would still hold up today. And surprisingly, the first 6 episodes of Rainbow Bright do. It's just you have to kind of get past like the little girly kid stuff that as an adult, you're like, yeah, that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking to myself, maybe as a separate recording, I will totally sing the Gem song for you.
Okay. I was going to say, I can edit it out of this one if you want me to, but I can even put it up online if you want me to, but.
Man. Maybe when we're done here.
Okay.
So, buttons. So, I saw him fly toward the dragon and I could see how he was flying. There was a dark figure with wings like a demon and a head like a green turtle carrying him through the air like an angel. I turned my head only to see I was also being carried, much unlike Samson's, though mine had wings like a dove and had the head of an antelope.
How would you know what an antelope is?
Who fucking knows? With long horns of blue and gold hair. Wait, what? Long horns of blue and gold hair. Okay.
So they're made out of like rhinoceros horns? But they look like antelope horns?
I turned just in time to see Samson's attack fail. Oh, wow.
Wait, but you guys are together, you're holding hands.
As he was engulfed with flame.
Which means you are now engulfed with flames.
I screamed at the sight and fire again barreled out of my mouth. My vocal cords are now shot.
Amazingly, they weren't before.
I heard a vase. It was the angel talking.
What angel? Would Vikings even believe in angels? I don't know.
Well, the closest they would have probably is the Viking.
Well, that's what I was trying to think of. I'm like, I don't know if I know of anything like that's an angel equivalent in Vikings. But again, I haven't studied Viking anything.
The closest thing would be like Valken or Valkyries. That'd be probably
Yeah, the Valkyries, I guess.
Angel said it was up to me. Only I could defeat the King Black Dragon.
Well, why do you have to
Course.
even fight this thing in the first place? I mean, why is it here?
No, it's a good question. Did anybody try to talk to the King Black Dragon? I mean, he's a king. He should try to be diplomatic with the guy. I mean, geez.
I mean, assuming that's just not the name for a species of dragon.
Yeah. She said, it's up to you, Emily. I can lend you my power, but you must deliver the kill. Man, you people are violent.
Well, they are Vikings.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you don't have to kill something just because it's a dragon. If it starts eating people, then I guess go ahead. Take my weapon, she said, and in a blind confusion I reached back and felt its chain. I took it in my hand. It was a gold chain with a 3-pronged blade on the end.
So wait, now you're mixing, like, ninja stuff? Or are you talking about, like, one of those hook things they throw up to scale walls? With, like, rope. Except this is a chain.
Yeah, a 3-pronged blade. It sounds like basically a flail of sorts. So, yeah. That was glowing with red smoke, of course it was. It seemed to come to life in my hand.
So wait, it's a talking sword. Is it telling you to kill your friends? Because if it is, you should give it back to the angel and tell her to fuck off.
Yeah. The angel swooped up in the sky and dropped above the black dragon that was now roaring.
What happened to your boyfriend?
And pelting boats with orange fire. As I fell, as in, like, fell energy, towards the beast, I felt no fear. My body was filled with unimaginable power, and I knew what I had to do. Well, you go Super Saiyan, I guess.
His power level's over 9,000! Crack.
I swung down screaming fire on the dragon's dark neck. It's a dragon. It's probably going to be extraordinarily flame resistant.
Unless for some reason she's been reading Dungeons and Dragons in which black dragons actually breathe like a toxic acid instead of fire.
But still, with those scales,
yeah,
flame is not really your best bet.
Likely not.
Anyway, it turned its gaze up to me as my arm swung the 3-pronged soul stealer.
How do you know it does this?
Yeah, that is a really excellent question. Into soul stealer into its face. Well, you're throwing it at the wrong end of his body. Because, you're supposed to be stealing his soul. Yeah. So I'll stop. 1 prong in each eye.
Ow.
Please don't make me think about that. And the 3rd, its nose. The golden chain changed from gold to black. As the dragon roared, I was stealing its soul and taking its power for my own.
No, you didn't hit it in its feet.
It sounds like she's ripping off Skyrim or something now.
Well, I don't know when the story was written. Let me have a quick look. 2012. I don't know when the game came out.
So, quite possibly ripping off Skyrim.
The dragon's skin and flesh burned to nothing, and my soul... Now we got a completely different spelling of it. Stealer disappeared. Soel. Stealer disappeared as I floated to the ground. I couldn't hear anything over the cheers of my people, because they would suddenly be happy and not still putting out the fire and shit. The dragon is dead, and they killed it. What's with the whole arrow there?
The dragon is dead. Less than Emily killed it.
They cried. I whispered Samson. So you whispered his name to yourself. Okay. Oh, Samson, where are you?
Where are you?
Where are you, my bitch? Again, you guys were holding hands. You never said you let go of each other.
Never let go, Jack. Never let go.
Floats down into the sea because I let go. I looked up as I saw him rising up out of the ash, floating and walking towards me. What? What ash? Like the fire that consumed you both? Maybe? And so the ash is floating, or Samson is floating?
I guess the ash.
Okay.
I don't fucking know. The syntax here is atrocious.
His skin was burnt and charred, and he looked awful. Well, yeah, that's kind of what a burn victim looks like.
Yeah.
But as he floated towards me, the closer he got, the more his flesh healed. How?
He's Wolverine.
Yes, apparently. Then he reached out to me naked, as he was, well, having all of his clothes burned off, I guess.
Yeah, I imagine so.
But without a scratch on his muscular
Muscular body.
His eyes still blue and gray.
Great.
I took his hand in mine, and he whisked me away. Because you guys can still fly or some shit. Up, up, and away!
Up the mountain ahead. Like that thing from the original Legend of Zelda.
Up, up the mountain that my village was at, the bottom of. We came upon a cold, grassy field. I don't think that's where you want to go. And also, what about your father? Wouldn't you, actually want to, maybe now that you can fly, go find this island or something and see if he's still alive?
No, she's basking in the fact that she's OP now.
Okay. Phil, still floating above the ground, he took me into his arms and started to kiss me, because this is totally an appropriate time to have sex again with somebody I just met who was a dick to me.
Uh-huh. We both knew that was where this was going.
Yeah. I could see in his eyes that my eyes were also still red and gray. No, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, you might be able to if you saw your reflection in them. But
that would be rather difficult. I mean, it would depend on how big his eyes actually are, and thus how big the reflection is. I thought the power must still be lingering in our bodies. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I kissed him back passionately. God damn it! Pass it on Italy. Or is that actually spelled properly? I can't tell.
It's not. Passion Italy.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to say pissentonly for some reason, and I'm just like, that's not what that says.
Oh, and let's not invite another scene like that.
We'll run into it, I'm sure. Maybe not this story, but a future story.
Well, keep throwing ourselves into the lion's den.
Yep. As we floated, and why is that?
Yeah, why does that have to be in parentheses?
Why is he in parentheses, tied my dress in the back? Well, why is it in the back now when it was in the front?
I know, right?
My dress fell to the ground as he ran his warm hand down my chest to my opening and slid 2 fingers in. That would be rather awkward unless he's on his knees. I was almost scared to let out a moan, fearing I would breathe fire again and burn him. You didn't before. But then again, this would be the 3rd time you have, or 4th, who cares that you can breathe fire now. But it was too much, wrong too, and my head went back and I let out a soft yes. My arms wrapped around his sexy body. This would not be weird or awkward at all if he's got fingers in you. And down to his firm butt. I could feel his hard cock pressing against my slender leg, and I wanted him so badly. He was kissing my neck when he pulled his fingers out and started to sex me good.
Oh my goodness! That wording, though!
Oh my god, are we starting to read Dark Yagami shit? Please tell me no, because I thought we were done with this. The power still in my body. I had never felt this way before. I wanted more. I wanted it faster. He never missed a beat, even though you're standing upright. How are you doing this? How are you having sex? Somebody has to be bent over or leaning or on the ground or something. Our bodies were one. My beautiful, skinny, pale, innocent body in
Bullshit.
in perfect sync. I wish I could pour this story down the sink. I wouldn't have to read it anymore. With his tall, manly body, but he's a boy. He keeps being described as a boy. He's not really a manly person if he's described as a boy constantly. Anyway, I ran my fingers through his again, brown hair as my golden locks seemed to be in zero gravity. What? Just floating around as we had the most magical sex known to mankind. Oh, so you're not actually standing there, you're floating, right. But still. And it's not just sex, it's magical sex.
It hurts, Mr. Cotter. It hurts.
We need another Timmy!
Finished as we were, wow, that was fast.
Yeah, I just casually okay, yeah, we're done now, so whatever.
Yeah, we're done. I sighed as we floated softly to the ground, and just laid there for what seemed like hours on end, in each other's arms looking at the starry sky.
Who gives a shit about my dad now?
Yeah, really. I awoke to the sound of Samson breathing, and I had never felt so calm and peaceful in my life. Then I jerked upright and let out a small scream. My father, he was still missing!
You stupid fuck, how could you forget this?
You don't say!
Also, exclamation point, parentheses, exclamation point in parentheses.
Yeah, that's very strange. Samson got up with me as we got dressed in a hurry and ran down to my house. I opened the chest in the far corner of my small house.
Yes, we get it. It's small.
And proceeded to take out my light armor.
Why do you have armor?
Yeah, there's really no reason for you to have armor if you're a tavern wench. But whatever.
Also, you have magic voodoo shit now. I don't think you need it.
It was pure silver, but light as a feather. Bullshit!
You wouldn't be wearing silver armor. That's like actually wearing gold armor. It would not be pure gold, because that shit is very soft. That wouldn't be good to wear.
It's not protection, and it's heavy. Silver but light as a feather. So what you're actually trying to say is it's a mythical material.
Like mithril?
That's silver colored but light as a feather. Like mithril. So why don't you just say that?
Then you would know I'm stealing from shit.
Yeah, but, I mean, lots of things use mithril these days, so. I looked really sexy in a badass way. Oh, God.
So what you're trying to tell me is that you're Carmen Sandiego, but not as awesome as Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, man. But, yeah, just pro tip for writers, never have your character describe themselves as sexy or badass. It should just show through on its own merit, cause...
I mean, if you want to kind of make them, egotistical in a sense, you could, but then they should get shut down and then have to rebuild themselves to be a more humble person.
Yeah, something like that. In the bottom of the chest was a very old sword my father had given me when I was young.
Why would he do this? You're a girl. Vikings, from my general knowledge, you would be more a practitioner of magic, not weapons.
Yeah, and it would be unlikely that your dad would give you a sword when you're a little girl.
Yeah.
Just, especially since odds are that's not the role you're going to grow into.
I mean, again, maybe like a small dagger or something for protection.
Yeah.
But not an actual sword.
Yeah, and Viking swords aren't small.
No.
Because, I actually own a Viking sword replica.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing about a Viking sword. Not only is it long and blade heavy, but the hilt is actually designed to not fit more than one hand. This thing is heavy for a one-handed sword. You would not give that to a girl. I mean, especially not, in that culture. I mean, these days, we live in a culture where it's like, yeah, girls can do anything guys can, and that's good. I'm not going to disparage that at all, but historically, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
Less than half a century ago, we wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't look at a little girl and say, here is a fucking Viking broadsword. They wouldn't be able to lift it, much less wield it. But anyway, the sword will protect you in your time of need. It's woven with immense power, my father had told me. He had won it in a raid in the land of warlocks. Oh.
He would not have.
Okay.
He wouldn't have won it in a raid. He would have, took it. Because,
Yeah.
Vikings are kind of dick like that.
Won it is still technically true. But yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, so it's not a Viking sword then, so, I mean, at least there's that, but now instead it is a Deus Ex Machina sword, which isn't necessarily better.
If I would still say if it tells you to kill your friends, you should probably chuck it and use a different sword.
Yes, exactly. It was slender like my body. Okay.
It wouldn't be slender. It wouldn't be a very slender sword then. It'd be kind of fat, widthways.
And there were vines with thorns. What is with you and these flexible things on your swords? Engraved along the blade, and a long red ribbon flowing off the hilt.
Why would there be a ribbon there? This sounds more like something decorative or ceremonial, not an actual thing you would use.
Yeah. That does happen, though. That it's not unheard of to just have a ribbon on a sword.
Yeah, well, I suppose, but usually it would be more of a hindrance than, anything else. But, if you wanted to, I suppose.
That can be said for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it is just there to be cool. I attached it to my belt as... How? You do not have a sword belt. It doesn't have a sheath on it.
Plus, when were you wearing a belt in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, unlike in, Final Fantasy, where your character can apparently just, touch their sword to their back and have it stay there, gravity is actually a thing. You need some sort of scabbard to place it in, or at least something to attach it to.
If you were wearing a belt, you would slip it, in between where the belt, so that it would kind of just hang there, but that still wouldn't be good because you have a bladed edge next to your leg.
Right, and honestly, that's not very effective. Speaking as somebody who has worn a sword before, just putting a sword in between your belt and your pants or whatever your garment is, not very effective. I attached it to my belt somehow. As Samson asked, "What are you going to do, Emily?" "Whatever I can," I replied. "I can't leave my father out there all alone. He's all I have left, and he's always been there for me. Now it's my turn to save him. I'm coming with you, Emily. You will need me on your journey."
Need you on your journey.
It does look like Jerry. But I'm just thinking to myself, it's a bit of a logical leap to assume your father's still alive. I mean, it would be...
it would be good to go check, I think, but at the same time, they said he stayed behind to kill some shit.
He stayed behind to ward off what you said were literally thousands of warriors. I mean...
Warriors and demons.
Yeah. I mean, things are not looking good for Homestar Runner at this point.
Plus, you went and had sex, so if he could have been saved, perhaps, probably not now.
Yeah, I mean, you wasted a lot of time you could have spent flying after your dad. I mean, it's pretty clear. You have now set for your characters what their priorities are. Their carnal pleasure comes first to the exclusion of all else.
I was happy he was coming with me, even though he has no reason to and was just going to drop you off at your house and be like, bye later. Even though I had just met him and had sex with him like twice, I felt so safe when he was around. Even though you just met him and been with him for a day, I knew he wouldn't fail like a flail in our mission, mission, to save my father.
Actually, the weird thing is, fail is actually spelled correctly there.
Oh, I was just derping then.
I mean, it's weird what these stories do to us, because I've tripped over myself too on words that were actually spelled correctly. You just expect it not to be right.
Well, see, that's like what Hushcho and I do. We read something like Twyla, and then we try to type on Skype. It's impossible. We can't. We literally cannot without doing stupid shit. We were walking through the town now. You did run back to your house from where you had sex and spent the night, apparently, so, town now to Samson's small boat, because he happens to have one, and how did you know this? He just, whatever. We looked super badass together. My slender legs covered in silver. I guess from the armor still. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but when she said armor, I was just imagining like a top.
Yeah, I kind of was too. That must have been a huge ass chest to have a full body suit of armor.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, assuming it's a full suit of armor, but knowing her, it probably is. Because I'm like, well, it could just be like arm bracers, and maybe like a top, and maybe like some like leg bracers or something. Like maybe not full covering, but like enough for the front, perhaps.
So she's wearing a full suit of plate mail. That is
Yeah, I don't think Vikings would really have that.
Oh, they might. It depends. Again, their metalsmithing was actually really quite good, but it wouldn't be feather light like she's talking about. This.
Yeah, it would be fucking heavy. Even a night in England would be like that. Shit was heavy.
Plate mail is really heavy. Plate
I mean,
mail.
now it could be like ring armor, or
Well,
no,
that's not plate mail.
Scale armor. You say scale armor, but it's still ring mail. Like I get confused sometimes with which one you call mail and which one you call armor.
Well, technically, you can use mail for all of them. There's chain mail, scale mail, and plate mail.
Yeah. Well, see, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I was trying to look up like examples of not exactly like to actually make armor, but to see like, maybe like how to, because I was trying to design like what a dragon might wear, and I was kind of thinking, well, maybe a dragon might like put like different kinds of metals and things together, and it wouldn't necessarily be armor, it would just be like something that would look cool on a dragon. And I eventually ran to a forum for people who like to reenact things or recreate costumes and things. And they like had this like big post about how it's scale armor, not scale mail. And so that's why I was like correcting myself there, because I'm like, okay.
My response to that is don't be a jerk. Mail and armor, those aren't mutually exclusive terms. So anyway, it hurts my head a little bit, because it's like you have this magical sword, and you have apparently magical armor as well that's been enchanted to offer you all the protection of full plate and be feather light, and this has not been adequately explained. Again, I don't have any problem with magical devices, but I would like to know where they came from. You need an explanation of some sort, you know?
She leveled up, I guess.
But you need an explanation of some sort as to why is this armor light, and it wouldn't even be that hard. You could say some shit like, this suit of armor was blessed by the Valkyries. It
Yeah.
was blessed to not be a hindrance to the wearer.
Yeah.
You know, something. But
I
when
don't
you are
think we actually knew anything about Viking religion or myths, so we're just kind of going.
are you using the medical we? You're talking about the author?
In general, I mean.
Because I do know about Viking myth.
Well, I'm meaning in general. You know, like, the queen would use we, meaning like the whole country, not specifically. I mean, she could be referring to her family in general, but you know, like a more, like, a general thing of inclusion.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I'm being, like, super confusing people, I don't mean to.
It's okay. I'm
I
also
do
really
I do the
tired.
same thing with you, and like my brother like bitched at me over it like once because I meant you in the general form, and he was thinking I was talking to him, like down to him specifically, and I'm like, I was not meaning you. There's like, or at least in my brain, there's a general you like a general we, but I could entirely be wrong because my brain does not work like everybody else's brain.
It's a matter of context more than anything else. But yeah, the problem here is that the author is more focused on making the characters look badass than explaining why they're badass. And again, that should be kind of a show don't tell thing. Don't say we looked super badass together. We should just know that you look super badass.
Yeah, I mean, I could,
You know,
well, honestly, I don't think she would be badass in anything, but, you know, if she wants to personally think she's badass, that's different than me thinking she looks badass.
that's just not something you should really have your character say about themselves under most circumstances. But again, it's like I am like legitimately curious, where did this armor come from? Why is it like that? Where is this power coming from? What, is it in the blood? Is it just, a form of magic? Will we ever get any real answers to this? Because I'm afraid that we're not going to.
It'll be as explained as the Griffin Society was in MIL.
Sad face.
Covered in silver and the ribbon on my blade flowing as we walked. Everyone around us couldn't, help but stare.
Heppel.
we,
Couldn't Heppel but stare.
we got to Samson's boat after talking to my father's friend, because he's still there and wouldn't be, like, attended by healers or something, who gave up the location of the island, because he would be able to tell you, who may or may not have been sailing before, we don't know this. Well, I guess if What's-His-Face has got a boat, then maybe he'd understand how to use coordinates, I suppose. And we set sail. I was standing on the bow of the boat, which wouldn't be too hard if it's just like a boat. It wouldn't be all that big. With the wind blowing my beautiful golden hair as I look towards the horizon. Do you guys look normal again?
And this is the thing, it's like over and over again, talking about how beautiful she is, her golden hair, going out of her way to describe her golden eyes. Stop. You just sound like a narcissist. That's all you sound like. At this point, I'm like, yeah, sure, you're beautiful, whatever. I don't care. It's like,
I don't care. Totally... I don't care. I really don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, something like that.
Golden hair as I look towards the horizon. It had been 3 days now, and Samson and I had enjoyed many good nights together. Wait.
If you know what I mean.
Okay, so you're on a boat, and it's been 3 days to get to this island. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure your dad's dead by now. If it takes you 3 days to get to the thing. Also, how did the boat survive being on fire for 3 days?
I think at least this is explainable. They're not on the boat that was wrecked. They're on Samson's personal boat.
Well, yes, but I'm meaning when her father's ship was fleeing. How did it not sink, is what I mean.
Oh, well, it's possible that it was decaying from the journey and... No. You know what? I'm trying to think of a way, but no, if it was on fire for 3 days...
Yeah, it would have sunk a long time ago.
It would not have survived the trip.
Even depending on, I don't really know about, what they could possibly do to try and put out a massive fire on, a Viking ship. Because, from my understanding, Viking ships were massive in length.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have, depending on where the fire started, sailed for a while. But, again, by the time it got to the harbor, it was so bad in flames, people were abandoning ship. It would have consumed a lot of the boat, and it would have sunk beforehand, I'm pretty sure. Unless it rained and helped keep the fire down or something. But who knows? I'm putting too much thought into this.
Yeah.
So again, they set sail for this, but it didn't talk about them getting provisions, just armor. So they have no food or anything. Also, if they were able to fly, why can't they now do so? Wouldn't that be faster than boats?
Yeah, that would definitely be useful.
So they're starving, and they've been gone for 3 days, but somehow they're able to have sex on a boat. We don't know how big this boat is. I'm assuming it's just like a rowboat. Who knows?
It was never described.
He's not, is there crew on the boat? So I'm assuming no, there's not. Let's see. Good nights together on the boat to pass the time, because, you wouldn't, tell stories about each other's family, or get to know each other better. You just constantly have sex. My cries of pleasure would carry out over the water for miles and echo back. I was starting to get worried now, though, 'cause it had been 3 days and we still hadn't come across the island.
It was pretty hot with the sun beating down on my face all day long, so I decided to go for a swim, in the nude, of course.
Why not?
To cool off. I don't care,
I don't either.
I guess it makes more sense than going in with your armor on. That would be kind of dumb.
Well, it would make the story shorter if she sunk down like a lead boat or something.
Samson smiled as he watched me undress. Because he's a perv and thinks of you as a piece of meat. We've established this.
I dove into the water head first, my small body hardly even making a splash. I opened my eyes and looked down. The visibility was good. I could see maybe 100 feet down. Down where? You mean the water?
Yeah, I guess.
Before it got too dark. The beauty was immense, but I didn't feel good.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that's what that word is supposed to be.
I was worried about my father. What could be happening to him? Was he okay, with no question mark, and just trailing off into the distance?
I wondered where he could be. Would we ever find him?
Fiend him.
Fiend him! Yes, you're right.
I don't know, will you? Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. Maybe he's a crab now.
What?
I don't know. I was just saying things. Then in the distance I could see a figure gliding towards me. I couldn't tell what it was, but it filled me with, what the hell? Wonder.
It's probably supposed to be wonder, but
Yeah.
It's missing
Wonder and interest. It was so beautiful. closer now, I could tell it was a deep green blanket. Octopussy.
Why? How? What?
So, are we planning to have sex with octopus now? Because the Japanese did that already.
I wasn't planning on it, but, maybe your plans changed.
Perhaps. I was frozen with wonder as it stopped right in front of me, just hovered there, looking into my eyes like it was trying to communicate with me. I'm sure it was. Being an octopus and everything. On impulse, I closed my eyes and focused on
Ethnobotany.
Thank you. Ethnobotany. Then I heard it, faint at first, then clearer. He was talking to me. He said in a great proud voice, "My name is Golem.
My name is Gollum? Are you serious?
My name is Gollum. Hawkeye had to correct Kayla because she keeps using the wrong word. I have been sent by your father to fiend you."
Oh, jeez. Her father's a dick.
Yeah, also, how is he able to do this if you weren't aware that you were able to do this?
That is an excellent point.
Plus, also, when it got there, wouldn't they, maybe have tried to drive it off or kill it or capture it or something? If it got to where the harbor where she lived?
Yeah, that's the world's greatest plan.
I suppose. He is in great danger and needs your help. Then, with my eyes closed, Gollum sent my a picture in my mindy.
A pit cure.
A picture in my mindy of the island and where we would find it. Then he said, "In your time of need, I will help you. All you have to do is concentrate on ethnobotany, and I will help." Because somehow that will magically summon him like a Final Fantasy summon, and he'll cast tsunami or something.
Okay, so this word she keeps using, which has nothing to do with anything that's going on, is basically just another word for Deus Ex Machina. Because it does pretty much anything.
Apparently so. It magically helps her transform, breathe fire, communicate with animals and monsters and shit.
Yeah. It's just, it's a strange term to use for that. He turned and swam away. I couldn't breath. I had to surfac. As my head broke through the water, I gasped for breath as I threw that wrong through. So, anyway, my hair back. Little droplets of water sparkling in the sun. Samson reached down to me and pulled me onto the boat. He said, "I was worried about you. You were down there for a long time. I was painting to catch my breath."
I was painting a pretty color with my breath. It was kind of misty and white, and it kind of just frosted over everything.
It kind of stung my eyes. But I managed to explain to him what had just happened. "Wow, that must mean your father is an ethnobotany man."
Can you get any more, not just a mouthful of bullshit, but you just can't just come up with a decent word. We said dragonkind, dragonkin. Why not just have something like that? That's easier to say.
Ethnobotany man, it just sounds like a cheap superhero name.
It's something I came up in 5th grade with.
Oh my goodness, ethnobotany man. I mean, it would be an ethnobotanist.
Yes.
Anyway, and passed it on to you. You both have great power and are to be feared, because of course you are.
Also, no shit, that's kind of how genetics work. Also, what about Samson here? He also, magically MacGuffined into a thingamajigger. They even flew.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's established very early on that Samson is an alien. Not an alien from outer space, but, he's not from around there.
A foreigner, at least.
Yeah, that's what I mean by alien.
Yeah. I'm clarifying for people who might not know.
Right, so he's a foreigner. This was, said really early on because he looks nothing like the other men that were there. So this ethnobotany, which it still kind of hurts my head to call it that, apparently has nothing. Well, it may have something to do with genetics, but it clearly has nothing to do with, like, point of origin, because this guy who came in from who knows where has the same or very similar abilities.
I had no idea what this meant. Neither do we. But I didn't have time to think about it. We turned the ship to a random direction, I guess, and set sail. Well, apparently this is a sailboat, at least. We finally have some confirmation on what kind of boat it is.
It would have to be to sail the ocean, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the Viking longboats that have the oars, if you take something like that out to sea, out into the ocean, the oars are there in case you need them, but, I can't think of any sailing vessel that would actually go deep out to sea without a sail of some kind.
Turn the ship and set sail in the island's direction. Hours passed before the island was in sight, like a website. I was so revealed when I could see it. Well, you never said anything about putting your clothes back on, so maybe you are revealed. We were
it says relieved, but it's leaved like leaves in a tree.
Oh, okay. I was relieved, not revealed. I don't know why I was thinking it was revealed.
Well, because it's closer to what you said. That's what our brains do. It tries to look for what's familiar when it sees something that doesn't actually make sense.
When I could see it, we were almost there. My spirits high, I just wanted the damn ship to go faster. Samson must have sensed my your Angus.
Actually, believe it or not, that word is spelled correctly. Angst.
Yeah. It's one of those things I'm gonna pronounce weird because I didn't know how it was pronounced before.
I had to do a double take though, because it's like, at first I thought that was like, some weird thing that was spelled wrong. Turns out it wasn't.
Well, it's not really throwing me off that it's spelling. It's just I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe you should use a different word. But I don't know. I guess that could work, perhaps.
It does.
'Cause he put his arm around me and just smiled. We're going to fiend your father, Emily.
Everyone's fiending everyone else.
Yep. He's everything is going to be A-okay.
'Cause that's totally the vernacular that they would use. Finally, after what seemed like hours, but I'm sure was only minutes, you don't have any kind of timepiece. You're sailing, but you don't know how to read the movement of the sun. Really?
You expect much of them, do you?
I mean, if they've been doing this for 3 days and they don't know how to do that, they probably should have sunk already. We landed on the shoreline of the great island. There was a cliff face 1,000 feet high. How would you know this? How did you measure it? With great trees growing out of it, the trees seemed to be crying golden tears down their faces. I reached out and a leaf softly landed on my hand. I looked at it and it was made of gold. My eyes were as wide as bowls.
So it's gold leaf. I'm sorry.
Oh, but
I'm sorry it had to be said. I couldn't wait anymore.
It did. I concur. It's okay. My eyes were as wide as bowls. The leaf was as light as any normal leaf. Actually, if it's made out of gold, I mean, it should probably be heavier, maybe not noticeably so because gold leaf is really thin.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit heavier.
But it was made of gold and glowed even in the dark. Then it's not gold! Gold does not throw off luminance in the dark. It may be a golden material, but it's not made of gold if it is glowing in the dark. And if it is for some reason, that means it's radioactive and you're gonna die. I now knew why the Viking had gotten so... I'm pretty sure that word is supposed to be psyched, but it's really badly misspelled. When they had first found the island, the whole island was growing treasure and rare gems and the holograms right out of the ground.
So what we're trying to say is that the plants on this island are weird, and it looks like, in theory, what we would think it is, but it's not actually.
Right, because, again, if you have gold and it glows in the dark, what you have is not gold, and you should get rid of it as soon as possible.
Simpson said, "We shouldn't take anything. We might anger the island demons. This island isn't of this world." Well, no shit, once I see stuff like a glowing tree. We will be in great danger if we let greed take over our soles of our feet. I don't know why you're suddenly greedy. And clearly it's not actual gold, as Hawk was saying. So I don't know what the problem is here. Just like, that's weird. Let's go find Dad.
Well, and here's the thing, basically what is, would probably be construed as a precious metal and gems are growing organically, if you harvest, as long as you are respectful to the nature of what these things are, I don't see why there's a problem. I don't see why that's greedy, because it's growing back. I mean, it's no more greedy in this case than taking apples from an apple tree. It's going to grow them again.
Unless it's like some kind of trap by some greater evil or something.
Yeah, and I mean, in that case, that greater evil's just a douchebag. But I mean, again, you don't have to be greedy in order to want something necessarily. Yeah. Just my 2 cents.
I nodded, and we started to trek down the beach to 2 of salt and pepper gold. What?
What? Hang on. Trek down the beach, 2 of salt and pepper gold and silver sand. Okay, so I think what she's saying is, the sand is made of granules of gold and silver, and she's trying to equate it to salt and pepper, but that's worded really awkwardly.
Yeah. Also, that is not how you spell salt. That makes me think more of salute or something.
Yeah. It's that's how you would spell the latter half of somersault.
Sand to find. They was in the treasure jungle.
Man. We found a path that led up the mountain and started the hike up. Nothing could hold me back. I couldn't think of anything but finding my father. I didn't even notice that the trees had vines of silk and thorns of rubies.
Wait, if you didn't notice it, then how are you describing it to us now?
That is an excellent observation. And that even the small animals had fur of so soft it could keep you warm even on the coldest days. Aw, I just want to hug them now.
Well, the fur being soft doesn't really keep you warm.
Yeah, that's true.
But I would like to hug animals that don't want to eat my face off.
Yeah. We were walking on a very small path now, with a shire cliff face, up to the left and down hundreds, again, dreads like I dread reading sentences like this, of feet to the left, one bad step and for some reason this is in brackets.
The atmosphere. Okay. My foot slipped and began the long fall to what I was sure was my death, even though I could fly.
We're not that lucky.
I could see Samson's failed attempt. I think we're missing an E there, but
We're missing a T.
on failed?
Oh no, I was looking at attempt.
No, I hadn't got that far. Yeah, it was paused on failed. Samson's failed attempt to grab me. It was too late. I was gone. A tear ran down my face and down my feces. I wasn't ready to die.
Come on, Deus Ex Machina, up! Come on!
I turned down and saw a pond. This was my chance. No, actually, you would probably kill yourself.
Yeah.
I was not ready to die. You just said this. I had to aim for the water, but there's only so much you can do when falling.
That at least is true.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you want to try to get into a diving position, possibly, but I don't know enough about you plus water plus physics to know when that would be too dangerous to do.
If it's a pond, like anything we would think of as a pond, that's way too shallow.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking it'd be a little deeper, but you're right. She'd probably, even if she could safely break the water, she'd probably still hit the ground before the water could really stop her.
She would still hit bottom, yeah. Wow, I mean, even if she was falling into the ocean, that would still, A, hurt like hell, and B, the shock of it would be your biggest worry to overcome at that point.
Yeah. I closed my eyes and prayed I would make it. It felt like hitting a brick wall, but with a great splash I darted down into the water and surfaced swimming to the land. I was soaking wet but alive, somehow.
Of course.
I lay down on a huge uncut diamond?
I'm so glad you said diamond.
With moss growing on it to dry off and climbed.
You're lying on a huge uncut diamond with moss growing on it to dry off.
Mm-hmm.
You're smart.
And climbed down, but the second I closed my eyes, I passed out. My body had to rest to take in all that had just happened.
My body had to reset.
Oh, reset and try again.
Have you tried turning your Emily off and then on again?
Yes, I have, but it keeps making this stupid beeping noise and going on about how beautiful this shit is. And then trying to take its clothes off. It's really annoying. I think maybe I should just take it back and get, like, a Chi or something.
You need to exchange it for a BlackBerry. I awoke and slowly opened my lazy golden eyes. Stop it! Stop that!
Hawkeye needs a hug.
I need a hug.
It's okay, Hawkeye. I'll give you. It'll be over soon.
Not soon enough.
It's not MIL. It's okay.
Oh, God. The story that shall not be named. Only to see that standing in front of me were the tall demon. Wait a minute. It looks like she's trying to spell the TH3.
Yeah,
like
she suddenly goes leet speak here.
I can't tell if that's what she's trying to do or if it's the three tall demons that... I don't care. I've decided that I don't care.
Okay, that works.
I shot up and reached for my sword. To my shock, it was gone. You're surprised that you got ambushed and they disarmed you?
Wait,
okay.
I'm confused. Wait, she was in the ocean, she met an octopus, then she got back on the boat, and they sailed to the thing, never really stating she got redressed, or that she put her armor on, or her weapons.
Yeah, I guess that's implied, but yeah, you're totally right. She never said that outright.
So she wouldn't have her weapons or anything. She's just like hanging out on this diamond thing, I think, but then it says she got off and climbed down.
Boobs flapping in the wind. The tallest demon, sad. Aww. They just want company. Sad in a dark voice, looking for this, as he held my blade in his dirty hand and laughed. I'm not alone, I said. If you touch me, Samson will kill the shit out of you. Demon scum.
I'm sure he'll rescue you, considering you fell off a cliff, and he's probably... I don't know if he's down there yet or not. I mean, who knows?
And didn't he say at the beginning of the story that he wasn't interested in coming to her rescue all the time?
Also, she could turn into a fiery flying thing. Why doesn't she just do that now?
Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Is that any way to talk to your new owner? Laughed the Domon. It's just getting worse. He reached out and grabbed me by the shoulder and lifted me up off my feet. Wow, that would be a really awkward way to try to lift somebody. That would hurt like hell if somebody got a grip on your shoulder like that and was actually able to lift you up.
Yeah.
With his other hand, he tore my armor off so that I was naked and exposed.
Wait, you was just wearing your armor, no actual clothes with it.
Right, 'cause, chafing isn't a thing in this universe, I guess. And, so, yeah. With his other hand, he tore my armor off so that I was naked and exposed, just like every hentai ever.
Hentai might be better than this.
You're probably right. I started to silently cry, and he grined and said, Don't worry. I'm not going to kill you.
I'm just going to rape you because stories are like that. He tossed me my back and got on top of me. His slimy hand grabbed my breast and squeezed it hard. I could feel him pressing up on me. He started to rape me. I was just saying that, but no, she's gonna make it a thing. Tearing me open 'cause he was so big. I screamed in pain, but there was a little hint of pleasure in my scream as well. Of course there is. His hand still rubbing my breast as his other hand slid up my chest to my neck, and he started to choke me. My small body couldn't handle this. He had been raping. I always get confused with that.
That is actually spelled correctly.
Okay. Every time I see it, though, like in any story, I get confused.
It looks weird, I agree.
Raping for what seemed like hours, even though he just started to do this, though granted it probably would seem like hours if you were getting raped, so I can't really complain about that exactly much. And then I heard one of the other demons yell and scream, blood splattered onto my face, and the tip of a dark blade came out of the demon's... Hey, she spelled it right.
Wow, she did.
Demon's belly, and he rolled off of me. Wait, how could he do... wouldn't he have to, pull the guy out, then throw him to the side?
Yeah, he would, collapse on top of you like a sack of potatoes if he suddenly died.
Samson stood over them and quickly turned and decapitated the third and last demon.
And we only get the spelling right once, I guess.
Yeah. He grabbed me up and embraced me tightly. I'm so... Oh, sorry, Emily, I am so sorry. I wasn't here for you, even though I said I wouldn't, come rescue you or anything, because I didn't want to.
Yeah, suddenly it's true love.
I searched for you for hours. I have failed you as your protector, even though you didn't want to be.
Since when was that your job description?
Since I decided it should be now, because we had sex, that makes us boy and girlfriend, don't you know? True love.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't talk, I just cried, and then passed out again.
Wowie.